what we're going to be doing is that first I'm going to be asking you some preliminary questions just to determine where you're at personally, like what you've been able to notice in your day-to-day life, and if you've noticed any complications with your hearing. And then once the test begins, what it's going to be comprised of is certain auditory tests and evaluations as well. So what I'm going to be doing is there's going to be two tests. One of them is going to be one consisting of beeps, just one small beep, and then the other test is going to be a frequency test. I'm going to be using frequency waves and their hertz and their measurements and whatnot, and seeing at what, you could say, age your ears are at. Okay? Are you alright with these terms, basically? Excellent. In that case, let me just turn to a clean sheet of paper, and then I will begin jotting down your answers. Here we go. So, for your first question, has anyone commented in your personal life or your day-to-day life that you have difficulty hearing them, or that you have that you've missed certain information that they were trying to give you on account of you not having been able to, listen? Okay. And that would exclude you being, kind of in a daydream and not paying attention to your surroundings. I'm more so talking about in an environment where you're being responsive to their calling you would be something that you would do had you been able to hear them in the first place. Okay. Yeah, so just kind of being lost in your own world doesn't really constitute any need for worry. It's more so where you are aware of your surroundings, it's just the sound in your surroundings isn't being heard by you. That's the concern. Okay. And has there been a family history where some people in your family have lost their hearing earlier on? I'm not excluding the older generations, of course. If your grandparents who are in their 60s or whatnot, if they can't hear quite well, then that's understandable. But earlier hearing loss, like in their 40s or 50s, especially for women, since they tend to develop certain syndromes that ends up impairing their hearing, typically around the 40-year mark. And have you noticed any differences in your hearing? Have you yourself kind of found yourself worrying about if you're losing your hearing, or if those certain occasions arising from the first question have been a constant theme within your life? Have you felt that like it's becoming a problem, or is it something that's more of something that you've just noticed, or have you never really paid any attention to it and you're just here for just a checkup? Okay. And then for your ear health, do you listen to music like through your headphones, through earbuds? And do you, when you clean your ears, do you put the Q-tip, very deep in there, or is it just like something to clean the surface of your ear? Okay. And are you exposed to loud noises during work or wherever you live? Have you ever been exposed to a sound that's quite loud, like an explosion or car accident or anything like that? Okay. Okay. Excellent. Now that I've collected all the information that I needed to collect, we can conduct the first exam. So, as I already stated, the first exam will consist of a number of beeps. It's going to be very small. Let me get my remote control. So, for an example, this is the type of beep you're going to be listening to. So, that's going to be the type of beep you're going to be listening to. Now, there's going to be a number of beeps sounding off while I conduct this test. What you're going to be trying to do is telling me, once the beeps are done, how many beeps sounded off. And then, if you accurately say the number, then, write it down as you being able to hear every single beep. However, if you're not capable of doing so, then I would also have to note that down as well as a point of reference. Some of the beeps will be lower than other ones, so that'll be also another little particular about the test. But once more, this is simply to gauge your hearing and how well you're hearing. So this isn't a pass-fail sort of matter. It's just a checkup sort of matter. But so to begin, I'm going to be clicking the button now. So just tell me when you're ready, and then we'll begin the test. Excellent. Okay. So here you go. Okay, did you hear anything? Excellent, and how many times did it sound off? Great. Now again. How many times, did you hear anything? Okay, great, and then how many times did it sound off? Great, and then... Did you hear anything? Excellent, and then how many times did it sound off? And then again, so. Okay, did you hear anything? Excellent, and then how many times did it sound off? Great, once again. Did you hear anything? Excellent, and then how many times did it sound off? Great, and then once again. Did you hear anything? Great. And then how many times did it sound off? Excellent. In that case, give me one moment just to write down your results. All of the tests you did quite well on, so there's nothing to worry about there. Your cognitive skills are also in place as well, considering how you were able to number the amount of sounds you're listening to, so your hearing and your cognitive skills were tested, and they both did quite well, so congratulations. Give me one more moment though, I just need to put some more details on this. So once again, I'm going to be using my remote controller for this test. And with this remote controller, what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be playing a frequency wave, and it's going to be escalating in hertz. And so in the beginning number of hertz that I'm going to be playing is going to be 20 hertz. So you're not going to be able to hear it because it's too low frequency. It's not really something that human beings can listen to. However, by the time it gets to 110 hertz, by then you should be able to hear the low frequency playing out. If not, then before then, maybe even after then as well, depending on how well you're hearing. Typically, though, low frequency, there usually is no problem with hearing low frequencies, not to mention the vibrations. You can feel it, kind of circling you. But what people tend to have the difficulty with, and that's how we gauge how, what age your ears are, is with the high frequencies. The higher the frequency, the the better you can hear high frequency, the more healthy your ears are. And so that's where we're trying to gauge right now. I think at around 12,000, maybe 14,000, but I think it's 12,000 people over the age of 60 tend to have a difficulty hearing that. I think around 14,000 people under the age, or rather over the age of 50, have problems hearing that. 16,000 I think corresponds to 40-year-olds tend to have a difficulty hearing 16,000 hertz. 18,000 hertz people in their 20s start having difficulty hearing that as well, but they can still hear it. However, once it gets to 19,000 hertz, that's when, it's usually people who are much younger, like in their teenage years. That's when people can actually begin hearing it. And anything over that, it's more like a child could hear it, or someone in their very early adolescence. And so those are kind of like the requirements. If you know your age, of course, and I have your profile before me, so I know your age as well. So depending on that, it should correlate with how old you are. The reason why the frequencies start dulling is because, your capability of hearing those high frequencies start dulling is because the the hair cells in your ears, they register high frequency volumes first. And so when they register that, typically when you start listening to, earbuds, your music really loudly, or if you listen to an explosion or something, or if you live in an environment where there's always construction, or if you're a construction worker yourself, you tend to really hurt and destroy those hair cells in your ears. And typically them registering, them being fine-tuned to higher frequencies becomes an impossibility, because one, they can't regenerate, and two, their capability of hearing those high frequencies are dulled and destroyed due to the trauma of listening to such loud noises. And so that's the reason as to why that is. That's why older people tend to not listen very well, is because over the passage of time, obviously, those hair cells rather have been dulled, because over time you start listening to a lot of things, and that damages the hair cells as well. And so that's why they have a difficulty listening to people, especially women and children who have higher pitched voices. And so we're going to be gauging that at the moment. So I'm going to be playing clips of it. You tell me when you can actually hear it. When you can, I'll pause it, I'll write it down, and then we'll resume the test until you can no longer hear it due to the high frequency. It might be a little loud or a little high-pitched, obviously, since we're dealing with low and high frequencies. So if it is, simply tell me, and then I'll try and accommodate you. Okay. Excellent. Now, before we begin, let me simply make a note of your age. So, there we go. So once again, I already explained the age levels and how well you're supposed to be listening at your age, and what frequency you're supposed to be listening at. So being determined by that, or with that as a determining factor, pay attention to the amount of hertz that is being played. So, are you ready? Excellent. So, let's start. Just tell me when you can hear it. Okay. Let me write down your results. Okay. And then, once again, I'm going to be playing it until you can no longer hear it. And then once you can no longer hear it, tell me, and then I'll write down your results again. Okay? Excellent. Just tell me when you're ready. Excellent. Okay. 8,000 hertz to about 12,000 is usually the standard where everyone can listen to it. Once you start passing 12,000, that's when the elderly people can no longer hear it. 14,000 50-year-olds, 16,000 40-year-olds, 18,000 people in their 20s, 19,000 people who are teenagers, and then usually above that, um, small children can hear that. You're starting to have difficulty hearing it? Okay, you're ready then. In that case, let me write down your results. Okay. Alrighty then. In that case, I'm going to be turning over these results to the doctor in charge. He will examine these as part of your general checkup, and he'll be able to tell you if if there's anything wrong, and then he'll be able to further examine you in case there might be anything you're at risk for, or anything that you might be succumbing to in the sense of like hearing loss, like minor syndrome, or matters like that, hearing loss problems. So other than this, you're all set. Is there anything else that you would need help with? Okay, in that case, have a good day.